that one thing you wait around.
No, you're good. Like I said, I'm gonna have higher cut, so we're good.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Gotta get front row seat. You sit on the back if you want.
I'm a travel winger too.
Is that what I'm declared? Proudly, right?
So afraid.
Everybody here for the Hall Daughter?
troublemakers. Well. I don't think- David Anderson. Randy Atkins. How you doing? Good to see you. You got that filter about back there. Backside of it. It's good. Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm gonna pass this around, if everybody could sign it. That way, if you didn't have it on record, don't, misunderstand it. Spell it in. Okay, I think you have it. Some people get up. Thank you. Okay, I got you. Randy? Yes. Brad? I've been waiting to meet your son.
You've never been.
Never. Over at the-
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't miss that yet.
Yeah, he got me on hay or straw. They don't talk to me and jump out of the house, say, hey. So anyway, thought I'd get meetings.
Leave the meeting close.
We just took a phone call upstairs.
Guys, so. I think you're gonna.
There's a lady on State Road 13 that's complaining about.
Well, I wasn't.
Put some
Well,
over this morning. And she said, it's kind of, so you water on your property, so.
Yeah, I know what they have.
Kenny probably knows
I
that,
know exactly.
but,
Yeah,
it's got that, is your,
Well, the hardest thing I've done, it grew.
That's right. It's a good time right now, simply because, we've got the, rain coming in.
Yeah.
See that they're blowing it on.
You look,
Is Richard not gonna be there?
I don't know, I'm kind of thinking he's not. Because
You want to move down?
you guys want to move down,
That's right, that clock's way. You guys have a watershed map there in front of you. Yep.
Mary, we're signing this, speaking or not speaking, right?
yeah, that way if you do get a speak, I have. I need to just spell people's names.
Correct, right, 20 speaking.
Mayor, I take it you've made an announcement, so we don't have to about signing that?
I'm actually passing it around.
All right.
I got Steve in the agenda, I didn't know if he was gonna be here today or not.
Explains a lot.
What? I have an extra one, if you guys want to see it.
Good, I don't want to.
Surprised.
Yeah, be surprised. Probably not, it's just that they just.
It's like, yeah. You go back.
Yeah.
Said,
No, the weeks of 17th.
yeah, yeah. So that we should be good on the 10th. What day, Thursday. We got that Veterans Day.
Thank you so much.
Day after, so.
You guys want to do me your autograph? I am. How are you? I'm really good.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Before we get into this, on this key farm, that's for Microsoft safety, and we've got to keep using it
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
on that Taylor Street, because all the trees between her and Harper's railroad won't let us take any of them out. And the guy that he come down here, cleaned those out. He said that if they would be back within 12 to 14 days. He said if we don't cover sulfate.
So you have to mix it with water.
We want water.
Oh, wait, I don't be dropping it.
Yeah, sure. Kill the algae.
Oh, you want to be.
You know, just read this letter, what part did he not listen to? Jesus.
Look at you guys.
Yeah, that's like,
Oh, I know.
his brain dead on him. It's just,
But that's.
he doesn't want
That's
us.
for his tile.
That's all explained to him. Remember his comment. Well, the rest will make you wrong.
South of the river.
All right, we ready to work?
We need Mary.
I'm sorry, I'm almost there.
Oh, Mary. Claims.
If you guys will find us, I will come and get that from you. Sorry, guys.
Who's calling this?
Huh?
We are together. We will call the Grant County Drainage Board to order October 11th, noting 4 of 5 members present. Mr. Cox is absent. We do have quorum. And move to minutes. We have those in front of us. Thoughts, comments, recommendations?
I think of the.
I'll make a motion to approve. Okay. Motion, Mr. Pinkerton, second, Mr. Cates. Approve the minutes. We have any discussion on them? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried. Jim, walk us through claims, please.
First one, Grant County Treasurer, $5,171.50. This is from General Drain Improvement Fund, paying back to maintenance. John's Repair Service, $2,835 on the Solms ditch, $9,543 in the fund. John's Repair Service, $2,100 on the Solms ditch. Again, $9,543. This is freeing up the channel that was blocked with obstructions. Cook Excavating, $2,935 on the Winger ditch, $18,397 in the fund. Cook Excavating, $470 on the Winger ditch. Again, there's $18,000 in the fund. And then Cook Excavating, $705 on the Winger ditch. These are on different farms, putting in a waterway to kind of get rid of surface water so the tile will do its job. Key Farms, $299.97 on Taylor Creek, $172,000 in the fund.
Psalms ditch, what was that? Is that log jams or what?
No, that's a small, farm ditch. Goes through a couple people's property. It was mostly taking out just dead stuff and cleaning the ditch. Let's see.
And pulled the bank back in the backyard where it's sloughing in.
Yeah, where the bank was falling in, it was erosion work too.
Okay.
This is a recenter ditch channel, place riprap along lower portions of a ditch on the property of Randy and Susan Smith. Let's see.
The other logs are on Max Taylor.
And then downstream on Max Taylor, remove rock, which was diverting flow of ditch, center ditch channel in 3 places, place riprap in 2 washes along some ditch. That was the 2,100.
Make a motion.
Mr. Goff, second, Mr. Cates. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Right, it is carried. Under old business, Little Crane Pond. Do any more with the attorneys on the creek? We're on that here under other business. Solar, we don't have anything to do right now. Under new business, are you aware? I will note that we did receive a call off of State Road 13, and we'll investigate that if we get a formal complaint that we asked for. So that'll be coming in. Other than that, ready to go to other business unless you have other new business. Hearing none, we will move to other business. We have the matter of public hearing regarding Hollis Daughtery Ditch. We want to move to a public hearing after we hear from our surveyor. He's going to give us a brief history, and then we'll give some more instruction. So Jim, if you will bring us up to date.
Currently north of 26 was put on maintenance years ago at $1 an acre with $10 per home site. Landowners have petitioned to put the ditch on a ditch tax farther south, including more acreage. This will include 2,264 acres and a half acres. We do have 3 letters of objections. I think all the drainage board members have read the objections. Out of the total acreage of objections, that was 32 acres or 1.43% of the land total. Current maintenance is $1 an acre with a $10 per home site and a minimum of $5. Due to the increased cost of maintaining this drain, the Grant County Drainage Board would like the drain assessed at a $15 per acre with a $50 per home site and a $15 minimum for a 4-year collection. That's what the hearing, this ground goes through some muck ground that needs periodic maintenance to keep it flowing. That's the purpose of today's hearing.
Just to clarify for me, I heard $1 an acre current.
That's what the northern half, north of 26 has been paying for a few
Okay.
years.
And what was the minimum and the home site? Was that 15 currently up north, or there's a 10 and 15?
Yeah, it was 10 with a $5 minimum.
Okay.
That's been on maintenance for a good while. And it does good to take care of the northern end. It cannot keep up with it.
All right. Any questions for our surveyor before we go to public hearing?
So we're adding south, is that right?
Yeah, the pinkish part there on your map, the orange part is the current paying assessment.
So we're just,
South.
it's already a regulated drain to the south. We're just adding it.
Right,
Around
public
maintenance.
hearing to add maintenance to it.
Or was it not collecting before? Why was it not collecting before the south part?
We took it to a public hearing and everybody objected up to 26. People north of 26 on the end of it that have to keep the open because of the tiles. You know, it passed north of 26, but failed south. But we've got new farmers south now and they're requesting this maintenance hearing so they can utilize the money to keep it open.
Okay.
And the county highway department is putting a new pipe under 1,000 south.
800.
800 south. It's been all off grade for years, going the wrong direction.
Any other questions for the surveyor? All right, we are going to move to the public hearing portion of this meeting. And if you would like to speak for or against, we ask you to step up for the record, give your name, your address and affected acres. And if you haven't signed in with Mary yet, for some reason, make sure that you do that as well for our records. So the floor is open if you would like to speak to the issue of the increase for the southern portion. Now, I know somebody signed.
I'll speak it, make,
If you'll step up to the podium.
Okay.
Present your name, your address, and acreage affected.
okay, good morning, guys. Thank you for inviting us to this hearing. I greatly appreciate it. Concerns me and my wife, Sherry, quite a bit. I'm Wayne Williamson. My wife is Sherry. We're on 1150 East, just south of State Road 26. We have approximately 940 something acres there.
Right ahead, sir.
This ditch goes completely through the center of our property. And we have our residents there. Our main concern is two things. We've been working on this ditch ever since we've lived there for some 20 some years. We maintain that ditch as far as keeping debris out of it, et cetera, et cetera. We have some videos of us walking down this ditch as far as how clear it actually is on our portion that we've done, which is available to you if you care to ever see this. We can sit down and show you these videos. One concern that we have too is my driveway comes off 1150 to my property, and there's a county ditch there that I cross. Within that county ditch as well, my incoming service feed for my electrical is implanted in that, encased in the 80 schedule PVC that comes across that ditch. My concern is the expense of me replacing that. If the county shall come in and replace that culvert, they would be interrupting my electrical service. And at that time, I don't know at this time that my wife and I being on fixed income can actually afford or endure that kind of amount of money that the electric company would impose upon us to replace that. That's my concern, and my wife's concern on this is
And how deep below grade do you think that is?
it's quite a bit. The electrical itself, I would say it's probably at least 3 foot. below the
I
driveway
can't,
surface.
yeah, I couldn't see no more than about 2 feet being cut out of that.
But below the surface of the drive or the surface of the pipe? Or
I'm
the-
talking about the surface of the driveway on top of the pipe. I come in on top of that pipe, that culvert.
It's in between the drive and the pipe, not under the pipe.
No, we're not under the pipe. We're on top of it. And that's what the electric company themselves, I&M, installed some years ago when we built this property.
But you're not talking about the open ditch, you're talking about a tile coming in from the east.
No, there's a drainage county tile that goes through there that my driveway goes across.
It's your driveway culvert.
It's steel.
Is that what you're talking about is the culvert?
Yeah, the steel pipe that comes underneath on that's in that ditch that we have to cross to get up to our residence.
Right here, and you gotta cross town where to get to his residence.
But I can't see the pipe. The
Right.
pipe is set down to where it needs to be. So I can't see this being a problem.
Well, if the pipe should have to be changed or removed,
Right,
then it would create a problem because my electrical service lays on top of that.
okay. Well, we have no plans to do that
Okay.
with this maintenance.
Maintenance actually meaning your terminology is coming through deepening the,
Just keeping the channel open to the existing flow line,
oh,
which if they dug it out, it'll just be to the bottom of that driveway pipe of yours. We're not gonna take out the pipe and reset it.
okay.
Only thing would be as if your pipe is rotten. If your driveway pipe is rotten, at that point, the pipe may need to be replaced. I mean, if it's rotten and
But then there would only be a problem if they put in a bigger pipe. Because the new pipe could go right back under it.
so he's talking the electric's up, the electric's above his pipe, but below his driveway.
How long has the pipe been in?
If they gotta take the pipe out,
This was in there before my
Regardless.
purchase of this property.
Okay.
Back almost, I guess it's been almost 30 years.
It should just slide right.
It's a
in.
galvanized pipe,
The existing.
Yes,
oh, okay, yeah, okay.
They're not under.
With a conduit across there.
Probably what?
bridges, yeah.
probably run it out if it's 30 years.
And if that's your only access, that's your only access to this property is to cross the county creek, right?
that's correct.
Well, the drainage board could, normally all that is on you, but if it's landlocked, they could assess half of it against the project. You could pay half, they could assess it all against the project if it has to be replaced, but that'd be down the road. You know, we got no plans to take that pipe out and make another one there.
But my concern is that especially, of course, I'm kind of a environmentalist, so I'm not actually a tree hugger, but I do try to preserve. We do have a lot of wildlife that comes through there because of agriculture's pretty much taken the wildlife away from them. So we do try to harvest that along.
And if it's dredged, do you have the trees cut off of that already?
Pardon me?
Do you have the trees cut off on one side where if it needs dredged?
No, we've been cleaning out the
Channel?
internal channel portion of that constantly. And
Well,
it's,
the day it becomes dredged, one side of the brush will have to be cut. If you had a favorite big tree at the top of the slope, we could leave a few trees
Mhm.
and work around them.
I do have some unusual trees that's this part of this country, which is not really a concern to a lot of people but ourselves. But they are Kentucky coffee tree, which is a species that's not native to the area, and some other deciduous trees that we would like to preserve.
Well,
if
before
possible.
anything would ever happen, we would meet with the contractor. We would mark those trees that you wanted to save. The only trees that would come out is the ones down in the channel, and then enough trees that you could dip out the sediment. But, you know, if we could work around any trees at the top of the bank, work up to it, track around and work, we'll leave all the trees we can.
Okay, prior to this meeting, I had spoke with Raymond. I don't know which one Raymond is. Ah, there he is right there. We had a conversation on the phone and of course I welcomed him anytime to come out to my property and we could walk through this and take a look around.
Well, I think we still could work on the west side of your ditch and then stay off of the home side of the ditch.
Mhm.
I mean, it will make a little bit of a mess, but we should be able to leave you a buffer for your privacy on your home side.
I agree, some of it could use cleaning
And it would,
to the south of my driveway,
well,
down
we,
ways.
we talked about the gentleman to the north here where his water's coming into the ditch and making the sandbar or the silt bar. That needs to be taken out, but we can do that in a small area.
Mhm.
But nothing will happen before we meet and we get those trees marked you want to save.
Okay, my other concern was the price to my residence itself, of course, is kind of, I understand that's a 4-year payment, is that correct, of 170?
It's a ditch tax that's paid out every year. But, you know, there's currently the plans to work on the ditch. So as long as we're working and spending that money, it's a yearly collection. Say they got all the work done and that ditch would accumulate money and you would pay 4 years in a row. When it reaches four times 1 year collection, then the ditch will automatically shut off. Your ditch tax will. But until it gets a little money in the kitty and we clean out the ditch, it's going to be a few years that you'll be paying the ditch tax.
Okay, this is a burden for my income. I'll have you know that from my standpoint of view, like I said, once again, we are in a limited income family that lives in this residence. We'd like to remain in Green County if possible, without having to move someplace for lesser taxes. So gentlemen, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Who else would like to speak?
I'm Randy Atkins, 8560 South Wheeling Pike. I'm probably the farmer that's got the greatest impact here. We're looking at around 240 acres is what I've been assessed at, about a $6,600 a year figure, if my math is correct. Unfortunately, I think this is a result of getting behind in ditch maintenance. And my hope would be that once we get caught back up with providing adequate drainage to the farmland that's out there, that this number could be reduced and it could become possibly appear to be more reasonable in regard to what we're paying. So I am in support of it. We've got farmland that we're not able to farm. I know people say I bought it that way, but that doesn't mean that necessarily has to remain that way. There was a county assessed ditch that went through there at one time that's been neglected, and draining this open ditch will help to provide the original drainage that we had by the few of us farmers that are impacted. So I ask for your support in this. Thank you.
And that's at that $15 an acre, 168. Let's see. 2,264 acres is farmable. That's gonna bring in 33,964. Now, $50 home site, the board could adjust that. There's 74 homes out there. At that rate, it brings in 3,700 a year. But, you know, if it brings a hardship on people, the board could, you know, lower to 25 is our minimum. We've been lowering these new home sites too. I currently pay 50 on my property. But it's a lot larger watershed.
Now, would it be reasonable to think that once we actually get the quotes for this work to be done, that fee could be adjusted, or do we want to just build the kitty and then reduce it once we get some money established? I'm not,
It takes a public hearing to reduce it also.
okay. I don't think we have any problem with that.
So it's whatever the landowners want to pursue the board to do.
Okay.
It's not gonna get any cheaper with years.
No,
Continue to spend a lot of money to keep these things working.
exactly. And, you know, we started this project, the consideration of this project 3 or 4 years ago, and we did get a quote on dredging that ditch. And it was significantly lower than what it is today, unfortunately. So I think it's not gonna get any cheaper as time goes on.
Some of the upper end's been dug out 3 times to my knowledge, but never that section just north of 26. That's just been obstructions and erosion control on that section. It does have pretty good fall to it once it gets south of 26.
Does this need on spray maintenance?
It will need a spray maintenance program. But like the one gentleman that has the trees, you gotta be real careful on spraying. You know, you wouldn't want to spray on his property hardly at all. There's the oversprays killing some of my maples on Taylor Creek that I didn't want to spray.
All right, who else would like to speak? Please step up.
Morning, gentlemen. My name's Steve Holzleiter. Farmer, drainage contractor, equipment dealership, drainage equipment. I'm in favor of this. I am actually one of the ones that's pushing really hard for this. I've worked with Paul Schreiber at Grant County Surveyor's Office, which you know about, to get the county tile that goes into Blackford County replaced. We are on the top end of that in Blackford County. One of the things we are asking for, I have a quote from a contractor. Would like to possibly get it set to where we've already got Grant County Highway Department replacing the culvert on 800 South. There's 3 foot of mud in that culvert. That culvert is in 10 inches backwards. The downside of that culvert is literally 10 inches higher than the upside. I have a quote from a contractor. I would like to see us get from the bridge on 1100 up to Frank and Betty Rice's home dipped so that we can get that culvert in right, so that it doesn't sew back in, and also so we can get this new county tile that's going in this winter on grade correctly. I know that's, you know, there's a lot of money coming in on this, but there's no point in putting a brand new county main in, starting out an 18 or 24-inch tile and putting it below grade on a ditch that needs dipped when it really should be dipped ahead of time.
Right.
What's gonna have to be,
This outlet's coming in.
yeah, but there's not gonna be any money till next spring. If we approve,
Next spring's ditch tax.
so
Yeah.
there's no money in there.
Right.
I know.
So we're looking at probably next fall with your spring and fall collection.
Yep.
That's when the work will be done.
I got contractors that can fit it in as soon as we get approval and there's money in there.
And that, the reason that's off grade is they kept floating up because of the peat.
Yes.
So hopefully they work harder than they did last time, because that
dry
got
now.
put in that way. Yeah, so.
Very dry.
It's really dry right now, so their biggest problem right now, I talked to David White the other day. The biggest problem they're having is they're having to cut the top off the culvert because there's 3 foot of dirt in the pipe, so
They can't lift it.
they can't lift it out, so.
Dip it out, bring it out.
But
we want to do this right, start at the bottom and work our way north, when
Right.
it flows downhill.
That's always the plan.
I'm 45 years old. I've lived in that area all my life and I've never seen anything done to that ditch. From Highway 26 where it crosses all the way. So I'd like to get at least.
I was probably about 26 years old when it was done.
I
I'm
dug part,
66.
I dug part of it in the eighties and early nineties, so.
Well.
Not all of it, but down there on Stevens.
Then, we tried to, I took over from the surveyor about that time. We had a public hearing, tries to put it on ditch tax and it failed. Too many people objecting to it.
Well, I think we got enough on the petition this time to make it go, so. I am a little concerned about the amount of money for like the gentleman like to say with hardships and stuff, but at the same point, if we can do this and get it fixed, drop that money back down in 4 years to where it's a feasible amount, to keep the ditch clean and keep it maintained. I will say, I live in Blackford County, and Blackford County's got some great ditch maintenance, and they keep up on it. Once you get them cleaned, they're very low maintenance. Thank you, gentlemen.
Who else?
I said.
Just a minute.
Didn't know you were gonna get to exercise this morning.
Well, I need it, so. I'm married in a lion. Property is at the corner of 11, 600 south. So you, farms that land, mows my section of that ditch, except for one section, which he told me that the vegetation is getting too high for him to maintain it in. So I'm assuming that this, maintaining this ditch will take care of that problem.
Well,
Okay, we have paid in the past to have it cleaned out ourselves. I just want to make sure that.
and I missed, where was what was your address again?
I don't live at this,
She owns right where the junction goes to Dollar Lake.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Raymond has,
Yeah, I'm familiar with that area.
Yeah.
How many acres do you have?
about 180,
180 acres?
give or take.
Okay.
Many times we've dredged to 1150 and we've brushed through your property before. It's been a few years. Camp brushed that the last
I
time.
know, they've paid us out of pocket a couple times out of their own.
Have they?
Yes,
Yeah, we have,
yeah, I mean, over the last 30 years.
right, yeah. And then once it was cleaned out, when Tom Jones is the one who farms it, and he's kept the bank.
Keeps
But
it
he said there was one section that was getting too high for him to take care of.
just up of the junction from Dollar Lake. It goes to that little swampy area is probably where he's talking about.
I think you're right.
It gets really mushy in there and you don't know when you're gonna fall through.
Oh, that's the area. The banks are real steep, then it goes into no banks and it's all swamp.
Yes, yeah, that stretch, 400 or 500 foot long there.
Yeah, we tried to walk through there once.
And yeah, yeah, you want wide shoes.
Well, apparently you survived.
So are you in favor or not in favor?
My family deer hunts on that property, but if a deer goes in there, they're not following it.
So are you in favor or not in favor?
Well, I was really surprised. I'm in favor of having the ditch maintained, but I was really surprised at the amount of money that I'm being charged to have it maintained, because it's quite a chunk. And hopefully it'll only last 4 years. And then when we first bought this, when we were getting a small amount on each one of our property tax to maintain this ditch, but that seems to have disappeared. Anyway,
You mean the taxes disappeared?
not the taxes, no. The the assessment for maintaining the ditch.
Okay, what's the current rate in there right now?
It may have shut off because it reached its potential. It may have.
Okay.
Yeah, if it went 4 years and nobody requested the money to be spent, it will shut off. It's Mary, the Drainage Board Secretary's job to make sure if you've got a 4-year collection and no money's been requested to be spent, it will shut off for a few years.
But they do spend it pretty regular, so I don't.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, I don't remember it being on my property tax bills for quite a while, so. But, yeah, I mean.
Once that money gets in,
The ditch, I'm just surprised at the amount of money it's going to cost me.
and that could be lower. Once everything's done, we're going to work with the farmers that's benefiting from this drain, and it's their money. All they gotta do is communicate with the Drainage Board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shut off.
Who else?
Okay, there's currently $4,762 in that maintenance fund, but a 4-year limit, it would shut off at $7,481.
And when you say that, the amount was in there now?
4,700.
47.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you for your time. I know it's hard work and you don't get paid a lot, but I appreciate you showing up and doing your duty. My name is Mark Townsend, and we own the property just north of Mrs. Lyons. And so that is the property that has a ditch assessment on it, although it's not enough to keep it maintained. I want to tell you, the last time I was in this room, I think was back when we were discussing CAFOs. And that was when Mark Barclay had dark hair.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad to be here. I support this proposal. My neck of the woods is in the muck ground, and unless you maintain that periodically, it just fills back in. I think 2015 was probably the last time it was dipped, and it needs to be dipped now. To that effect, I brought quotes for spending money if we're going to be raising money. And that just covers from 1150 on up north through the Miller Purdue Farm. So I encourage you to accept whether the assessment is correct for everyone. I'm not speaking to that, but it does need to be done. I appreciate Randy Atkins' efforts on the south side of 26. But again, we're talking what happens on the south side also affects what happens to the north. And our assessment just hasn't been enough to keep maintaining what needs to be maintained.
So you think these figures will maintain it?
Well, I can't speak to the south side. What we're doing presently to the north side is not. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
In the past, I always worked with your dad on trying to get what he wanted out of this maintenance fund and keep it cleared.
Right. And, Chuck Fullenkamp has done a good job, and sometimes Dad, would pay for it himself out of his pocket when there wasn't enough, so.
But what we need to do is, once the money gets in the kitty, we'll make a letter for the board to ask for quotes we want your input on contractors you want notified. We need to notify at least 3 interested contractors 7 days before a drainage board meeting. And then we'll have current quotes from them.
Yeah. Well, Chuck's good.
And you guys will know when the dates are. You need to come to the meeting to review them too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak?
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Well, I happen to be the guy that's got the ground between, I'm Charles Maddox. Got the ground between State 26 and 11.
I am in trouble out there. My ground is washing into the ditch. I think about 4 different places that are out in the field in excess of 50 feet. Very dangerous to run a combine through there, tractor, or people walking. I'd like to get that fixed. I talked to Mr. Bear here. I hate to wait too many years beyond where we're at, or somebody falls in there. Not only me going to get sued, it'll be the county. People do hunt along that open ditch. So it's very important that we get into this as soon as possible. I have concerns about people walking on.
Well, there's a drainage easement. I don't give them a right to trespass.
I
The
can't.
Drainage board is the
I
only
can't
one
be
that
there.
has the,
I understand. I can't be there all the time.
I know. But if they're trespassing and they hurt themselves, the drainage board is not liable. And you shouldn't
Just
be
because
either.
they're not liable, don't mean they won't try to sue.
I know.
I know that. I've heard that before.
How many acres do you represent roughly?
Between 150 and 200 acres. I can't say because I don't know exact.
It seemed like it took a couple of years for Cook's excavating, but we did work on your worst one. At
No,
one time.
it's on the other side of the ditch.
Okay,
I'm on the,
that was on the west side?
That's for that.
correct.
That's for his brother.
I have a brother that owns part of that ditch bank. I have the rest of it between 26 and,
Is your erosion coming in from the east?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay,
the west side isn't bad.
nothing's been done, and that's, you know, you got some pretty good trees and brush in the way to.
Yeah, there's good logs in there.
That would have to be brushed on one side to.
Well, I would like both sides, but I know that's not really very feasible, but, the west, or the east side, excuse me, is quite a distance from the ditch to the field.
And you're in favor of cutting that off and out of the easement?
Absolutely, every bit, as long as we can put a grass on there and keep it down. I live on the Townsend ditch in Blackford County. That is sprayed every other year, or possibly every year.
Uh-huh.
And it's good shape. Mr. Holzleiter, depends on how they are in Blackford County. Gentlemen, they are. I've got about 3 little brushes on that Townsend ditch right now, and the surveyor over there is working on a couple voices on that side. I have probably a half mile of ditch bank there. So I've got about totally of 1.5 miles of ditch bank, both sides.
Question for Mr. Maddox or?
Well, if there's so much peat over there, and
Yeah,
it's hard to walk on this ditch, how do we spray?
You're not gonna spray it until it gets cut.
No,
Well,
I mean, there's,
Sections of it's high and dry, and then you get into those peat bowls.
this on mine isn't peat.
No, yeah,
No, I don't have a peat, but Mark does, and Mrs. Lyons does.
downstream from you that does a little bit here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, at certain times of the year, if they come in the spring, we've got about 40 miles we're on a spray program that the maintenances are paying enough. So we're adding them all the time, but you know, they want to come early in the spring. It's just going to depend on how the ground is because you can't drive through there, some of that area.
Well, with the washes, there's no way of driving through there either, so. It's a good advertisement on 26 too, by the way. That's bridge.
good advertisement for what?
For not having maintenance on it. It's out there a good 150 feet.
Yeah.
Other questions for Mr. Maddox?
Appreciate your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm probably one of the oldest landowners in here. So, believe it or not, I'll be 80 next week or two.
Next week?
Well, next month. I should
Next
say.
month.
First of the month. I don't think anybody, this whole side may be that old, but he's.
I'm not that old.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Billy.
Anyone else? We're not charging you right now for it, so you feel free to speak.
My name is David Anderson. I live at 11750 East, 850 South, -27, Hartford City, Indiana. So that means I am in Grant County. We have a tributary that comes into the Hollis Ditch. And I mean, that's fine. And we're being charged, a good amount. And I understand the need of ditch maintenance, but also, if I'm being charged that much, my tributary ought to be maintained as well. And it hasn't been for many, many years. The only work that's been done has been done by this man and Tom Jones, who also farms our land. So my recommendation, or my request is if you're going to do this much, and by the way, you're collecting in 1 year as much as you spent on this ditch in 16 years, 10 months, and 9 days. So if you're going to ask for it, please return it. So that's just my plea as far as a landowner, 110 acres. So if you're going to do that to Hollis Ditch and supply what's north of 26 coming down through our area, if there's tributaries, ditches, let's do that too.
I think we could vote to include that tributary. Part of the problem is that it goes through a swamp. We're going to have to be careful on our dredging. We may have to get some permitting.
Wetland permit, is that what you're thinking?
Right. But we could include that tributary, there's two tributaries kind of up north that come to a point. That's all in the watershed and it's all on maintenance.
Thank you.
You think we can do that in this hearing?
Yeah, I think they're all in the assessment. We just add that in tributaries.
Would that also include Randy's tributary south of 26?
Well, I'm talking about the county tributary, the county easement tributary. Where's the other one you're
Is
talking
that
about?
going through the old Yaley, Jim?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, I dredged about a quarter mile of that
Okay.
a couple years ago through the Yaley.
And we dredged the other half of it the year before.
Okay.
Honestly, I kind of hate to see us get into the Army Corps of Engineers with permits and getting that, opening that ball of wax.
You're opening up a lot of expense.
Yes,
To your
that
maintenance.
would add to the, I'd like to leave that one on where we just, us farmers take care of, Randy and I basically, and Tom Jones can take care of that.
On your property, and we'll sidestep the issue.
Get the Army Corps of Engineers involved, and you're talking a lot of money spent that's gonna be wasted just on engineering and.
True.
I'm in support of that.
Yes,
As long as the gym one has drainage,
yes.
it'll be spent downstream where his water goes downstream and causes problems.
So if the gentleman has problems, call you.
Well, I just talk to him on a regular basis.
Yes.
On driving wagon.
Podium's still open, and if you'd like to speak for or against the issue on Hollis Doggery, please do so.
Take care of Mr. I didn't know.
It's kind of a maze to work through, isn't it?
I'm Wayne Valentine, live at 5620 South, 1050 East. I came here just to find out what all was going on with the county drainage ditch. I got this letter in the mail. And the county, I've been there since 1989. And they've only replaced a couple of culverts across the road since I've been there. in the last 20-some years. And there's no ditch for them to dredge on my property. And I was wanting to find out why mine assessment was $191. I only own 10 acres. And I was wanting to find out, since I don't have a ditch that they could dredge out, and my drainage isn't all that bad, why do I have to pay so much?
You're in the watershed, that's why you're in the assessment, but, do you have a home site there?
Yes,
Well, that would be 50. And then it would be $15 an acre for the extra acreage, 9 acres. Do you have 10 acres total?
yes, on 2 separate, plots.
So you have 20 acres?
No, 5 acres on each plot,
Oh, okay, but only one has a home site.
yes.
Well, that's, you're in the watershed, so your water goes to this problem, and that's why you're in the assessment.
Well, the biggest problem I see is that it floods real bad at 600 south and 1050 east. That intersection right there. South of me.
First road south of the railroad and close to the upland.
It's Berry Street and Upland if it comes out.
Okay, yeah, it floods at that intersection.
He's
Bad.
He's on the very north part of the watershed on the west corner. He's one of those
Okay,
home lots up there.
yeah, the open ditch ends, it's back behind you to the east is where the open ditch starts.
The intersection drained a little better before they drove the tractor on the tile that I put in.
Yeah.
I put an 8-inch tile up to that intersection, and then when they were mowing, they got right on the trench when it was wet and smashed the tile. That's part of why that intersection doesn't drain very well.
Okay.
You were doing that privately for
Yes.
individual?
Yes. It was, the property on the corner where the barn used to stand. We ran a new tile down onto Ross Alcorn's property.
Yeah.
The man there's got the motorcycles and, there's an open ditch down there by his house where those tile go to.
Right
Where
behind
that
his
water
house.
goes, yeah. And you have a tile that comes across the road that you inadvertently go that direction. You don't have a direct line to the ditch, but your water does go that direction.
My water seems to go over to my neighbor's pond across the road.
Yeah.
Because that's where that drainage.
And then there's a tile from that pond outlet down to that header, but I'm sure it's not in very good condition.
Runs back to the east.
It runs across Randy's ground there on, East Hoskins property. Charlie Hoskins.
Yeah, Charlie Young.
There's a tile that comes from up there by the railroad in that little pond and goes way back there to that head wall.
Yeah.
But that's what color clay, unless you put tile in there,
Put an outlet through that.
but I mean,
Back to the home sites would, the board could vote to lower these home sites to 25 since there is a hardship on fixed income.
Like I said, nobody's ever came out to clean out any ditches since I've been there, and I don't have a ditch to clean out. We keep them pretty well mowed down. Like I said, that one culvert going across, I even got a little yellow thing up there to keep all the debris and everything out of it.
Well, the one to the west, it's been cleaned out twice to my knowledge, but it's been years ago.
Yeah.
Bragg Excavating's actually the one that, cut it out and improved it the first time.
There's a riser pipe in the northeast corner of that intersection in that low area of the Hoskins Young property. Do you know where it goes? It's got to go east.
you know, it's all coming to the hollows.
Yeah, and I would assume that some of that water, that intersection's got to go into that hole.
Yes, that 600 and 1050, that water goes to the hollows whichever direction. That whole intersection goes to Hollis Daughtry.
Yeah.
You don't have a direct line to it, but you're in the watershed. I get charged on Walnut Creek and I'm 25 feet above Walnut Creek. It's just that your water goes this direction is why you're in the watershed.
Yeah, well, just wondering because I've never, seen anybody come out there and clean up any of the ditches, in my area. I would like to complain about right there at 1050 East and State Road 26. That's a low-lying area right there that really floods every time we get a heavy rain. That's the two worst places, on 1050 East is. Right there, 600
And see-
south and, 700 south, and State
And
Road
the-
26.
The state highway built a pond back on Collier property and run a tile from there, so that stopped that from, it used to flood all the time. They have to shut the road down. To my knowledge, the road had to be shut down for a while.
No, it hasn't,
It's still
hasn't
getting
shut
in there.
down. It still flows across, but it's, covering the whole road.
Just north of 26 on 1050 floods.
Well, and there's a possibility that outlet, that riser that's there, it's out in the weeds is all plugged up with debris, so we need to look at that.
Wayne, would you say you're for it or against it?
I'm against the $15 charge
Okay.
per acre. Especially for my place, I don't have any problems with drainage.
Understand your statements, but your water that goes somewhere becomes a problem for somebody else in the watershed. That's why we
Yeah.
collectively do it together.
I got a place back in my backyard that, collects water all the time whenever it rains real heavy. In fact, you can see it bubbling up back there. I got a broken tile someplace. But, it doesn't affect the, up front with where the road's at. So,
All righty.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for or against? We've done this about 50 minutes now, so we'll make sure everybody has an opportunity to share their concerns. I'm not an auctioneer, but going once.
Let's go for it.
You're ready to go? All right, going twice, going three times. We will close the public portion of the public hearing, take it to the board now for discussion and any type of action. Gentlemen, do you have any questions that popped up out of, you've heard this testimony or thoughts, comments?
The only question I got is if we go to spray it, we're gonna have to alert these people that we got muck ground or whatever over there. That sounds to me like it needs sprayed.
Yeah. I'm sure the right of way management, they'd have a backpack crew that they could put through there. But it just depends on the type of season, whether somebody could walk through.
How many home sites?
74.
74. Yeah, 74. With, 4, 5, 6 home sites objected beforehand. You read those objections.
Well, it's bad shape and you gotta get money to fix it.
Are you making a motion or not?
No, I'm just saying, it's not gonna get fixed overnight because it's how many years in the making. So you gotta get started from somewhere.
You gotta get money from someplace, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's gotta be from the landowner and the homeowner.
Oh,
If we wanted to entertain the home sites, 74 home sites at $50 is only $3,700. So if you drop to 25, you're not really using that much from the fund.
what was the original deal?
It was 50.
That
That's what we advertised.
help me. I'll make a motion. The only thing I'll add is county contributaries. Is that what we want to put in there?
They acted like they didn't want it. They'd take care of them themselves to keep the Army Corps out.
keep that, yeah.
Okay, so we're leaving that bar.
Leave it as it is.
So just go on as is.
Oh, on that one.
Just on the main line.
So we're gonna drop the homes to 25? No,
Leave further out.
I agree, because they put the water in every day
You know,
somewhere. Because they're flushing the stools, they're using the water, they put it every day.
they don't have a ditch, but if you go someplace,
Yes, it does.
I'll just, the original deal, I'll make a motion.
So Mr. Cates is making the motion that we ratify the advertised prices as we've discussed them. I believe that is $15 an acre, $50 a home site, $15 minimum, and 4-year collection.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Goff has seconded it. Now we have the opportunity to discuss. Questions, comments? Board members, are you ready to vote?
They gotta have money to work on the thing.
And like I said, it's not gonna, it's been years that it's working, not working. And you gotta have the money to work on it, so there's not much you can fund. So we're gonna use that fund to fix it. So,
Right, any other comment? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed no, abstaining, it's carried unanimously. We have increased to $15, $50 a home site, 15 minimum, and 4-year collection.
And it'll start next spring.
January and into the spring election. And I have paperwork for you gentlemen to sign, but question?
Or comment, just so the gentleman in the room will get a head start. If the board would entertain, they would like to converse about borrowing money to start work now that they can pay back next year with the assessment.
Yes.
Yes.
Do that.
Mark, I remember, I think it being, how much have we used our drainage to dip into our maintenance fund?
What's it down to, Mary?
I'm sorry.
What's it down to?
Well, they need 6,500.
The amount of the general drain improvement fund right now is
They got that.
158.7.
Well, we moved to draw on that out.
Yeah, 5,000 of it is 153.
53. We were moving somebody into the red in the northeast as well, weren't we?
Furman tile.
But that's already
That's
been
about
took off.
$30,000, isn't it?
That been took off of there, Mary?
Furman.
Because we went to an 18-inch. I remember we went to an 18-inch on
You've
that.
also advanced Aaron Newby.
So
Furman.
we're
Furman
drawing
has
on
been
that.
taken out. It's 1,500 in red.
You guys did something for DeVore last meeting, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably need to assess how much we're drawing on that before we would.
I think you gave DeVore twice what he needed or what you were typically giving him.
Which I pointed out.
Yes, you did.
We had a rule and we changed the rule, which is, I'm all right with that.
So you guys have got current quotes, 6,000 from Pullen Camp to do the north part of 26?
That's 65.
Huh?
6,500.
Okay, was that to do from 26 north?
That's from 1150 up through the military farm.
Okay, so we got a lot missing there on
How
that.
much you need?
I have no idea.
I think we gotta start at the south so we can get some,
Relief.
fall for that new dish that we're putting in.
Well, if we go deeper, we're going deeper on the south end, which is give the north end the ability to be dug deeper in the future.
Do you guys got any quotes today?
I do, yes, we drop them in.
Okay, what's it say here?
These overlap each other
Yeah,
in
they're
the same place?
Yeah.
Is
Three
the
different,
first-
Still fun.
the first one you give me the best one?
yes. It's a dark one, right?
How?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's these, I don't need to look at these then.
House mulch one side and dip everything from 1,100 all the way up to Franken Valley Rise.
So you got 20,000 and the 65 on Townsend's, and then
Half mile,
and Charles Maddox. Where'd he go? There he is. He's got $10,000 worth of washouts to work on. So you got 3650. 36,500. That they could spend.
How much does this bring in together? 33,000, 34,000.
$37,750 and it's $65.
And you got 4,000 what in the kitty?
Yeah, we've already wiped out 1 year's collection.
One of you gonna do is collection with all that wiped out.
I just thought I'd bring it up.
that's gonna have about 37 in it.
What I'd recommend is we take that request under advisement until our next, we make sure we know how much we're spending right now out of the general drain improvement. And we can talk about the loan next time.
And we probably need to get, we could do it in phases, have one quote to take the lower part to 26. One quote to take that brushy erosion part, and then the one quote that would take the end of it. Send all those out, get different variety of quotes in from, gotta have at least 3 interested contractors. We'll definitely use Powell Excavating and Fullen Camp and add a few other guys and get those in before long.
Won't getting cheaper.
Yeah.
And the quicker you get done, the more
Well,
safe.
that's the one thing. I mean, you got Grant County Highway was wanting to replace a bad culvert that was in backwards. Had 3 foot of mud in it. That tells you we gotta get this.
And I've been asking them to do that for 30 years, so.
Yeah,
It's a lack of diligence on the landowners, not the drainage board.
yes, I agree.
I've been asking for that for 30 years to be replaced. It just took you
We'll
guys.
take full responsibility.
What do you need? You tell us what you need and we'll get it done.
Started at this 10 years ago.
Let us prepare a letter to contractors and getting quotes from a bunch of people soon. And then you guys come back to that meeting and we see exactly what it's gonna be. Then we see if we can get to mine.
Just a reminder, Blackford's doing their part with that new outlet coming into it,
Right,
and that's gonna happen this fall.
right.
They're just.
So we need that lower end done first.
First,
Right.
and that was kind of the arrangement I think Grant County made with Blackford.
Mhm.
They took care of that outlet, we would take care of the open ditch.
Was.
Yes. That's what David White was under the understanding with putting the culvert in too, because he knows we're gonna drop that as much as 5 feet from the north side of that culvert up to the,
You know, the last time Dave was talked to?
I talked to David, was it 2 weeks ago we met?
Last Monday.
Okay,
Yeah.
They're out there today.
good,
That culvert's coming out now, so.
very good.
So you guys are familiar with Powell Excavating and you'd be acceptance of that? That lower part was $19,845, so.
They come very high regarded by the Wells County and the Blackford County surveyor.
That,
Very high regard.
Jim, that only goes up to the Hine line though. That doesn't go to 26.
Oh, okay.
That gives them an outlet for that new tile.
Behind.
There's a lot of pressure on that south end.
Because we can't do this and this and this, and we gotta do them.
Yeah, we need to make sure we know what we're looking at.
I'll break it down into phases like you guys want and we'll get letters out and take quotes from a lot of contractors soon.
We have those back for the next meeting.
It'll be the 29th, I think.
No, I'd like the end of November. Last meeting in November.
I think that's Hummel Creek's.
Humboldt Creek's public hearings when?
I think it's the 29th of November, because we don't have a first meeting. Election day.
Well, if it is, we'll put these guys first so they don't have to stay here for an hour.
that can work.
Cause this is gonna be a big one. They've never paid a tax before in their life, so a lot of homicides.
So I'm gonna get some
I'm
more
not
gray hair.
gonna
That's what's
present
gonna
that
happen, Mark.
day. I'm gonna be sick that day, by the way, Mark.
All right, we're gonna move on. We have.
We still put on the first agenda on the next November,
Okay.
last November meeting.
We are going, we have a hearing of assessment that was scheduled for today. We had a objection on the assessment, and we had a request for a continuance because the attorney and the landowner could not be with us today. Through our attorney, we've negotiated a couple of open dates for them, and it would be my recommendation to postpone until November the 10th at 11 o'clock. That is a Thursday. So it would be a special session of the Drainage Board. And with your motion and approval to that, we can move that to November the 10th,
At what time, I'm sorry?
11 a.m. normal meeting time, just on a Thursday.
No, I'm joking. We don't get paid, right?
I think you will get paid for a special session.
No.
Richard's not here, so you'll get his.
50 left over.
I would entertain a motion if you're willing to do that.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Pinkerton has made a motion to postpone until November the 10th at 11 o'clock on the hearing of assessment. Mr. Cates has seconded that motion. All those in favor would say aye. Aye. It is carried. Other business, Jim?
No.
Have we had enough? Gene Johnson is going, what is wrong with you boys?
You don't know.
Anybody want to make the Johnson motion?
I'll make a motion, Richard.
All right.
Second.
Motion with support, Mr. Cates, Mr. Goff. All those in favor would say aye. Aye. Carried. It used to be the auditor's office. I have no idea who does it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's,
That's a point.
it'll pass.
Wonder how much more your person.
Mary's getting ready. As soon as that board goes off.